Hello, my name is Madison Richwain, and I am currently enrolled in the medical assisting class at Lincoln Tech Academy. And today I will be interviewing Erica McMurrin,
Hello.
who is a registered nurse here at Lodi Memorial. So, Erica, just to start off, how's your day today?
Friday, my day's going really well.
So we're going to start from the beginning.
Okay.
How old were you when you decided you wanted to become a registered nurse? Was it something you had your heart set on, or is it something you discovered in college?
I decided that I wanted to be a registered nurse prior to going to college, so I was always interested in the medical field. As a young girl, it kind of started with animals and thinking about being a vet, and then moved towards wanting to be a doctor.
Mm-hmm.
And so between the summer of my junior and senior year in high school, we went to Hawaii, and one of our waiters there, we were kind of talking to him and hearing about his story, and he had childhood leukemia, and so he was telling us about how big of an impact his nurses made on his life because they were able to spend the time with him and actually care for him. And at that point, I started looking into nursing school.
Okay. What college did you attend for nursing?
For nursing, I started at San Jose State, and I finished my prereqs to get into the nursing program there. At the time, San Jose State was a first come, first serve, so there was a 3.5-year wait for a 3-year program. So I switched my degree from nursing to biology pre-med just so I could stay a full-time student during that time, and then ended up transferring out to St. Louis University and did another year of biology pre-med there and got accepted into their accelerated nursing program.
Awesome. Can you tell me a little bit about what may have been an influence to becoming a registered nurse?
It's a really good question. So I think part of it was just part of my personality and caring for people. And that started within, helping my brothers when they were younger. And then there's something about this using the scientific part of medicine, but still being able to do total care on patients, that had a huge influence on wanting to go into nursing.
Okay, so how many years were you in schooling for at San Jose?
San Jose, I was there for 3 years, and then 2 years at St. Louis.
And then, is there a certain field you were specialized in other than the medicine?
Nope, I just did my prereqs the first 2 years, then biology pre-med for 2 years, and then the nursing program was about a year and a half long.
Okay, and then what was the highest degree that you had graduated with?
My bachelor's.
And then, did you do an internship after graduation? If so, where at?
I did not. Part of our nursing program, the last semester, we got to choose a concentration to go into. And so, and then we actually had to do like an application process to be able to get into certain areas depending on where you wanted to go. So I chose to do my concentration in the NICU, but then after that I did not do any type of internship outside of that.
Okay. And then what department do you work in?
I work in the intensive care unit.
And how long have you worked in this department?
I've been at this hospital for 10 years this December, and about 6 months of that was spent as a charge nurse out in our progressive telemetry unit. So when I started, that unit wasn't here, so I helped train nurses out there and do education on cardiac rhythms and monitoring, and then moved into the ICU once we got that unit settled.
Okay. And then what would you say is the most rewarding part about working in the ICU, and what would you say is one of the worst parts of working in the ICU?
So as ICU nurses, we do total care, so we don't have CNAs that help us out with that. The most rewarding part is to be able to watch a patient turn around and walk out of here when they are on total life support, on ventilators, medications, everything that just to keep them alive. And we've had, to be able to watch a patient turn around and end up walking out of here. And then they come back and see us later on, which is pretty awesome to see. So, but at the same time, we also experience a lot of death because of it. So we're seeing patients at the most critical time in their life, and so to be able to care for somebody and support them through that, there really isn't a whole lot of words that kind of explain that type of feeling.
And can you explain to me what your average day working in the ICU is like?
I can. So can I explain it in two different ways? So because I do charge nurse most of the time, and then like today I'm at bedside. So as a bedside nurse, we come in and we usually start our shift around 7 o'clock and get report from our nurses. We do bedside shift report, so we're in the patient's room handing off reports so they can hear what's going on and be a part of that. And then afterwards, kind of sit down and go through lab values for the day and set up my day. I need to know, kind of put a plan to care, what patient I need to see first, depending on who's more critical, medications, labs, and if I need to cover any of that. And so we do assessments every 4 hours. So at 8, noon, and 4 o'clock, I'm doing a head-to-toe full assessment. Our patients are on continuous cardiac monitors, oxygen, blood pressure. So our monitors are set up where we can choose. So if I'm monitoring a patient's blood pressure because that's an issue, I can set that up for like every 15 minutes if needed. If not, then at minimum every hour. And making sure that those vital signs are going through. Giving meds. We do multiple disciplinary rounds, so we have an entire team, our physician, charge nurse, primary nurse, pharmacy, social worker, case manager, physical therapist, respiratory therapist, all come together, and we look, and dietitian, and kind of look at the patient's care as an entire team and making sure that we're covering all the bases for them. And then if we need to, we also bring in spiritual care with that. And so we do multiple disciplinary rounds and kind of talk about each patient. And then if the plan of care for the day has changed, then a lot of it's sitting down and making sure that the patient understands what's going on. And if they can't interact with us a whole lot, then the family is also involved in those. And then, like I said, we do assessments then again at noon and then 4 o'clock, and medicines throughout the day. So, and one of the best things that you can do for your patient is get them up out of bed and start mobilizing them. So making sure that all my patients are moving every single day. So, and then as a charge nurse, we come in 30 minutes earlier. So I get here at 6:30 in the morning and get report on all the patients throughout the unit. And then I work directly with our nurses and our physicians and helping set a plan of care for the day, helping care for the patients, kind of mediate between the two if the physician is needing something and helping him on that end of it. We have intensivists here in the ICU, so they're ICU specialized doctors, and we have now 5 different doctors that kind of rotate through. So we do rounds with them and making sure that we're supporting them and staying in the loop of what's going on with each patient. So we're here to just support our doctors, support the nurses, and then anything that is called overhead, so rapid response team or code blue, we respond to those and run those codes that are being called.
Okay, and then for my last question, for anyone interested in becoming a registered nurse, what advice would you give them?
I think it's awesome to know that that's what you want to do early on, because trying to get your prereqs out of the way, and some of them seem like they don't make a huge difference, but statistics is a class you're going to have to take to go into nursing. And when you look at going back to school later on, if you want to get your master's or your doctorate done, it all goes back to make sure that you took that stats class and that you did well in it. And so paying attention that even at the, going into college and being young, experiencing college and life, but also knowing that those classes end up making a difference down the road too, is huge. And then if you can find a place that you do an internship, so here through Lodi we do have internships that we set up, and it's one of our nurses went through it, he's here today, and it's a year-long program and you continue education with it, but the knowledge that he has at this time compared to somebody that hasn't gone through it, there's a huge difference between it. So
okay, well that's all I have today, so thank you for coming and taking the time to let me interview you.
You're welcome.